Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Kogan. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. Today's going to be a good day, a day of reminiscing, and a day of moving forward positively, all right? And you might say, well, what does that mean? Well, today is the final episode of my React show, DSP versus the Internet. The show is going to end on episode 90. And if you look at the time frame, we actually started doing that show in early February of 2023. And here we are, November 2024, and it's finally coming to a close. Now, I want you to understand, the show is not a failure in any shape of the word. The reason that I continued to do the show for so long is because I enjoyed it, some of my audience enjoyed it, and it made me some money. It's not like, oh, I was just doing it and it was a complete waste of everybody's time. Keep in mind that that show basically was financed by people becoming members on the DSP Reacts channel, which you can find at youtube.com/@DSP okay? And the way that it would work is that basically people who were members of that channel, there's two tiers where you could submit clips. Submissions tier, which is like $4 or $5 a month. I think it's $4.99 a month. And then there's the ultra tier over there. That's like $20 a month. So what is the difference? Well, the ultra tier, they were guaranteed to get their clip watched on the show. And since a membership lasts a month, that means for $20, you get to get 4 clips watched every single month. That's pretty good. For those who gave the $5 a month, you would submit 2 clips a week and they would be put into a randomized playlist that we would just let YouTube determine the order. And so you had an equal chance to get your clip watched along with everyone else. So obviously way less of a chance to get your video watched, but that's also why it was $5 instead of 20, right? So how did the show do? Well, initially, when this show started, all right, it did very well. We were actually getting a good amount of views. The videos that I was putting out were getting like, I think the first episode got over 10,000 views, which is actually quite high for any video that I would upload to YouTube these days. And the streams were doing well as well. Initially, interest was high. And if I remember correctly, I had upwards of 20, 30 ultra members and something like 50 plus standard members. So the first month or two, the show was making a ton of money. And I was like, wow, you know, people have asked me for years, instead of just being a gamer who games all day and reviews games and does gaming related content, branch out and do this React style stuff, which everyone else does on the internet except you. You're like the only dude who's a full-time content creator who isn't doing this React content, and we don't get it. Like, we would like to see that from you. We want to see you branch out and do variety. So I did. Now, how did it work and what happened over time? Well, here's what happened. We're going to be very honest here, okay? Going into the show like this, I had no experience doing it. I didn't know how it was going to go, how to handle certain clips or issues. And a lot of stuff happened over the course of the 2 years that sadly I feel like kind of hurt the show, all right? So number one, something that obviously no one really knew at the time when I started the show. YouTube has issue with certain kinds of videos and allowing them to either be live streamed, monetized, or both. For example, there are some videos that are flagged on YouTube, the site as a whole, as just for kids. Now, this baffles me because, for example, some of the stuff that's been flagged has been like a video of SpongeBob. SpongeBob's been around for over 20 years. Sure, there are definitely kids who watch SpongeBob, but there's also adults who watch SpongeBob or want to watch a video about SpongeBob because they grew up watching it. Why can't we watch a clip of SpongeBob on my show? Because YouTube flags that video as just for kids content, meaning no one who watches anything SpongeBob can monetize it on YouTube. And if you watch it on a stream, it could demonetize your whole stream. Now, admittedly, most of the revenue that I made from my React content was the memberships, financing the show. But I want to be able to monetize my work. I shouldn't be sitting here for 3 hours, 3.5 hours, some afternoons, reacting to stuff, and then be told, you make no money on your work today because you looked at a SpongeBob clip. I think that's absolutely ludicrous, and I think that YouTube needs to refine their systems, but YouTube has a lot of issues, right? So right there off the bat, a lot of the times people would be submitting clips, and I tell them, I'm sorry, we actually can't watch your clip on the show because of this dumb issue, okay? We're going to continue in a second, but I want to do some shout outs. Shout out to Bookworm, 29 months as a member. Says Happy Veterans Day. Thank you all. Yes, thank you again to all who serve. And we actually did receive a tip early on today, and I forgot to shout it out. It's a $2 tip from Peter Pecker. Oh, this is all right. This is obviously funny. Okay. Here's a $2 tip. This is a parody tip. Let me get it on the leaderboard, and I'll read it out. We're gonna get a good laugh out of this one, and then we'll continue talking about the React show. All right. So here we go. This is Peter Pecker. I need your advice. I was fired from 2 jobs between January and August of this year because I was spending all day in Detractor chats during my work hours instead of actually doing my job. Since then, I've been spending 40 hours per week hate watching you in Detractor restreams while I'm collecting unemployment, all while telling other detractors that Phil needs to get a job. I also openly talk about how I lost over $100,000 gambling, even though I call you an idiot because you spent some money on WWE champions. I'm down to my final chip. What can I do to turn things around? Please help me, King. Now, obviously, this is probably an over-the-top, exaggerated situation of someone making fun of my detractors and trolls, but the ultimate truth is this. If the camera gets turned back against my detractors, if we start to analyze them, we are going to find far more lolcow stupidity than you've ever seen in any of my content or streams. Because I admit I've made many mistakes over the years, but I've learned from them. But those people are walking, living embarrassments to humanity. But they don't want the camera turned back upon them. Because God forbid that we analyze their lives like they analyze mine. We would have a laugh fucking riot. I mean, there's people who sit there all day doing podcasts 2-3 times a week that all they do is talk about nonsensical minutia in my life. 8 hours covering my cat. Yes, that actually happened. All right? People who say, oh, I'm just going to literally restream every single piece of content that Phil does without any commentary on it to pull views away from him. Squeeze me? You're going to do what? You're literally going to sit here and stream every moment I'm streaming? So what are you going to be doing in your real life during that time? Nothing. Sitting there. And this is your life. But I'm the one who's pathetic. Really. Anyway. Yeah, it's absolutely pretty silly and ridiculous. And we could do this all day. And maybe one day we will. Because like I said, there very well could be potential for some very big hilarity and views, quite frankly, in actually micro-analyzing my detractors who are way bigger lolcows than me. And every time I say that, they seethe and they cope and they freak out and they can't take it. I mean, there's tiny little Twitter accounts with like 100 followers who are following them and making fun of them, and they can't take that. Can you imagine if I did it? I mean, look at what happened with Duty streams within just a couple of times of me doing it, and look what happened with Super Crazy, who has disappeared from the internet. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, not the topic for today, but thank you for the tip, and thank you for the laugh. Okay. So, let's get back to the topic at hand, my React show. So, one problem we had with the React show was that anything that was deemed content for children, we could never watch on the show, and therefore it immediately eliminated quite a lot of clips from being watched. Another thing, which is literally the opposite side of the spectrum here, is clips that are actually flagged on YouTube as only for adults, okay? And you might say, well, what kind of content is that? To be honest with you, it's not even content that, like, would be deemed for, like, a rated R movie. Because you might actually think, oh, maybe it's, like, gore or stuff like that. No, it's basically stuff with risque content, you know, a really strong language or something about race or something about, you know, a dangerous situation, you know, videos with cops involved in them and stuff like that. It's been really dumb stuff, quite frankly. Like, I think maybe once or twice I discovered a clip like, oh, I probably wouldn't want to watch that on my show. For the most part, the videos that are labeled as adults only on YouTube are not actually that bad. It's just that YouTube wants to err on the side of caution because they don't want another ad apocalypse. For those who don't know, back in 2017, a ton of big high-profile advertisers literally pulled out of YouTube and said, We no longer want to advertise on your site because you're putting our ads on videos that are absolutely ridiculously risque, over the top stuff that we would never want to advertise on. We're talking videos where people were ranting about race wars and how, they liked Nazis, or, real terrorist style content, or people saying the N-word. And then there's an ad for Starbucks on it, right? So after that happened, YouTube basically made it so that certain videos would be flagged as adults only, so that way ads don't go on them. Not necessarily they even care about you watching the content. They just don't want ads going on inappropriate videos and then them losing all ad revenue again, right? So the problem is you never really know what video will be flagged or won't be flagged. So people would be submitting videos for the show, and without fail, at least a couple videos a week would be flagged as adults only, and I'd have to go back to the person who was a member and be like, well, I'm sorry, we can't watch your clip this week. It's not something that I do. I'm not weeding it out. It's just that we just can't watch it. Could you maybe submit 2 clips next week and stuff like that? And basically what's happened is we went from a show, right, that was getting, probably about 50 to 70 members a month. And these problems have made these members kind of get just disinterested in the show, because we can't always watch the clips that they want me to watch, right? Now, in addition to that, let's be honest as well, as the numbers start to dwindle and the interest starts to wane, because when you're doing a show every week, it doesn't feel special anymore, right? If you're doing a show every once in a while, special. If you're doing it literally every week, it doesn't feel so special anymore. So what ended up happening was, what ended up happening was people, reduced the amount that they were becoming members. So the clips started to come every week from the same people, right? And of course, if we have the same 10 people who are ultra members submitting clips every week, you're going to start to see a pattern. Videos about Warhammer 40K, videos about Singapore, or, things like that are similar topics. And after a while of seeing a few of those videos, you start to get tired of them, right? Videos from the same content creators doing skits, the same cooking channel, right? Over and over and over. And you're like, oh, all right, I'm tired of this now. But hey, it's the same person who's an ultra member, and they like me reacting to that clip, and they have the right to request it. So ultimately, where I feel the show kind of went wrong, there's a couple missteps here. And these are things that there was no way we were going to learn about this until essentially I did the show, right? Like, I had to do the show to learn the lessons to make better content in the long term. So lesson number 1, if I'm going to do React content, I pretty much shouldn't do it on YouTube. I should stream it somewhere else where they're not going to flag my stream or take down my stream or demonetize my stream. I should do it somewhere where I know it's not going to be interrupted. If you don't know how it works on YouTube, if you're streaming and it's, oh, this clip is deemed for kids or for adults, or oh, that's content ID matching content on YouTube. What they do is they take your stream down for 3 minutes until the AI algorithm determines that you're no longer streaming the copywritten content, and then your stream will come back. But it's very frustrating to have to deal with that in the middle of a live stream. You're looking over like, oh, come on, the stream went down. Now I got to pause, wait 3 minutes. Then I got to fast forward to the next clip. Why won't they just let me watch what I want to watch? If you stream on other places, for example, streaming on Kick doesn't do that at all. Kick lets you stream. Now, they'll tell you after the fact, okay? After the fact, they'll tell you, hey, you did something that we don't approve of, delete the clip. But they're not going to shut your stream down unless you're doing extreme stuff. You know what I mean? Like, Kick is a lot better at it. I actually heard that Kino Casino, like last year, the year before, they actually were live streaming and reacting to like a Scooby-Doo movie live, which obviously you can't do. It's copywritten. And they got away with it. And then after the fact, basically, Kick contacted them and said, don't do that again and delete the video on demand. And they did. And then they didn't get into any trouble. So they're a lot more lenient with how stuff happens on Kick. So if I'm going to do React content, I absolutely should be streaming it on Kick. Like, it just makes sense. Why would I stream it on YouTube when we know we're going to possibly have all of these problems? kids videos, adult videos, content ID matches, stupid stream getting shut down. It doesn't make sense. It's just too much of a pain in the ass. I want to have a streamlined, uninterrupted experience for you guys. Not we're sitting here and we never know what we're doing. We're walking on eggshells watching these clips. It's dumb, right? It's just a really stupid system. So that's the first part. We'll talk about the second part in a second. But I want to do another shout out. I received a $2.01 tip from Big Larry Gaming. I saw a video today from a content creator. A 71-year-old man has gotten hit by an ambulance and it fractured his nose. The ambulance took him to the hospital and billed him $1,800, even though they hit him. He's suing the ambulance and the hospital he was at for $1 million. Do you think he'll win? It was a video from Critical. You don't have to read this part. Well, then why'd you put it there? Right? I mean, obviously that's a ludicrous situation, and the person is within their rights to sue both the ambulance and the hospital. So there you go. I don't know what else you actually want me to say about that. It sounds ridiculously stupid and irresponsible that they did that. All right. I really don't know what else you want me to say to that. Okay. And by the way, guys, please support the stream today. As you know, the streak continues. Now, I forgot to check what number we're at. Hold on a second here. I screwed up yesterday. I think I accidentally increased the streak by too much. Hold on. I have to click on a video and watch it to figure this out.
YouTube ads?
And now there's a goddamn ad playing. Fuck you and your mother. I just want to fucking check my own video. I really don't understand why YouTube runs ads on your own videos. They absolutely should not do that. So according to this, no, we were at 58 last night. Okay, I'm just double checking this to make sure the streak is where it's supposed to be. So what if we check yesterday's podcast? I do have YouTube Premium, but I don't have 3 accounts. And I'm logged into the browser as one account that doesn't have it. It's so dumb. Okay, so we started yesterday at 57. Then we hit 58 and 59, so it's correct. We're at 59 right now. Okay, so we're at streak 59. All right. Obviously, we want to keep the momentum going. We want to get it all the way to Friday. So if you do the math, that it would be 60, 61. Tomorrow will be 62, 63. Wednesday, I'm only doing one stream, so that's 64. Thursday would be 65, 66. So when we hit 67, goal hit of 67, we are going to be doing DSP Tries It, the entire Decades menu from Taco Bell. It's 4 different items, including a burrito with some green sauce, a Meximel, a tostada, and a Supreme Gordita. So it's a good, interesting thing. It's something to do that's similar to the old DSP Tries It formula of trying fast food, new items. I think you guys will really enjoy it. So please support the stream today. Super chats, super stickers, memberships, and gifted memberships on the YouTube side. Subs and gifted subs on the Kick side. And of course, tips, which could cover both sides because they're through PayPal, which is either, is capable of doing. Let's keep the momentum rolling, shall we? And thank you so much. All that being said, thank you, guys, for your support early this morning. Let's keep that momentum rolling, guys. We're at $6 in support right now. Let's see who's going to be the first person to give some subs over on Kick today. Who's going to be the first person to give some memberships on YouTube today, right? And who's going to top these two? Only $2. We can get a bigger tip and a bigger super chat right now. Let's get that momentum going. I'll be honest. This react show doesn't get a lot of attention. It actually gets very little attention. So, what I'm very nervous about here, excuse me, is that the streak might end with the final react show. And I really hope not. Because every other stream we're doing is doing amazing, right? Attendance is good, support is good. But I'm nervous about today's react show. Please, let's keep the momentum going and please support the stream. Okay. By the way, I absolutely am sure you want this to continue because when we hit 276 straight streams, goals hit, playing Stellar Blade. Yes. Okay. By the way, I received another tip. A $6 tip from Jackal Mixon. Thank you so much, Jackal. I'll play you an animation as soon as my page loads. Yeah. That's the biggest contribution of the day so far. And now we're up to $12 in support. Okay. So now, let's talk about something else that I really feel, sadly, hurt the momentum of the React show. We were about 1 year, one whole year into the React show. It was like January or February of this year, all right? And all of a sudden, my detractors and trolls discover this really stupid loophole on YouTube where you could use a VPN to act like you are located in a different part of the world, and you can buy things via that VPN that are definitely way cheaper than they're supposed to be. So they started doing this and coming to YouTube and doing things like mass buying YouTube premium subscriptions for like pennies on the dollar, and they started mass buying memberships. So they flooded my YouTube channels with this. DSP Gaming, DSP Reacts, and even when I launched DSP Throwback, they basically went to those channels and said, oh, I'm going to gift 50 members, 100 members, 500 members. And they were paying like $2 to do it, okay? So what ended up happening is I had to scramble, and I had to find a way to undermine this, because here's the deal. This could completely destroy my React channel. Again, remember, my React channel was based on memberships. So Ultra members and these standard level members were submitting clips to be watched. Well, if overnight, all of a sudden, every single person has a free standard membership because people were using VPNs to buy them for like 50 for 10 cents, right? Obviously, the whole show is going to get ruined. We can't have it be public submissions because now there's going to be 5,000 submissions and we'll never be able to watch any of them, right? And let's be honest, if the most of the revenue was coming from memberships and now memberships were worthless, the show was going to become defunct overnight. So I had to scramble to fix this. And the only real way to do it was I had to change up the tiers of membership on DSP React. I had to I had to create another tier. So it used to be called standard members. I had to change that and then change it to be submissions tier members. Okay? So the cost of being a member went from $4 to $5. And there was nothing I could do about that. There was actually no way for me to fix it because this is a YouTube side issue that's in their system. I've notified YouTube about this multiple times over the years, others as well, and no one really cares. They just let it ride and never fix it. So, these trolls almost ruined the React show. But by me creating this new tier of membership, the show was able to continue. But definitely I saw a huge dip in support. Like I was getting, no lie, probably around 30, maybe more than that, members a week. And so, or members a month, I should say. And if you do the math there, let's say that they're $4 each times like 30 or 40. So I was making like $150 to $200 just on those members. Then I was getting ultra members, and then I was making ad revenue. Overnight, I basically lost hundreds of dollars of revenue that I was making each month on that channel in the show because they were abusing the memberships. So because it's out of my control, you know, I did my best, but I lost a ton of support. So now, essentially, I'm losing the amount of members that I had for the show. The show is not allowed to be as free as we want it to be because we can't watch all the clips because of the kids only and the adults only. The streams are getting flagged and shut down midstream because of content ID. And then we're getting the same people submitting similar clips every single week. So it basically became a convoluted, unmanageable mess, and people didn't like it. At first, people did. And I think what it was is when the show started, the idea of, hey, we can get Phil to watch this clip that we've always wanted to see him watch, right? You guys were submitting some classic YouTube stuff. The original Boogie videos, right, of how he got famous, or Angry Grandpa, or a meme from a million years ago, right? What was it? The Duck Song. Stuff like that that's like YouTube history, but I don't know about YouTube history because I never followed it. I wasn't like a YouTuber who followed the memes or anything. I was someone who always just did his own thing and kind of didn't pay attention to what was going around YouTube with that kind of level of content. So it was actually fascinating. Excuse me, fascinating. And I would even say last year was extra cool because once we hit the holidays, we were doing like horror and Halloween themed content all October. We were doing Christmas content in November and December, and it made the show feel special for that time of year. It really did. But then this year, with all these issues, the VPN memberships, people, reducing massively the amount of support that the channel was getting, all these issues just compiled. And I noticed every single week, we were getting less viewers, we were getting less support on the live streams, and we were getting less members. And so finally, when the summertime hit, I kind of made the decision that I was going to probably discontinue the show or change its format. It was just a matter of like, when? And what I originally wanted to do, I wanted the show to hit 100 episodes. And I figured when we hit 100, we'll retire it and we'll change the format. But what's happened is over the course of this year, as you know, I had a resurgence back in August. Now, I have more people who want me to do different kinds of content. And I have more people who want me to branch out and do things like politics or, hey, react to a big video essay or a documentary as opposed to just sit there reacting to random clips. Because I guess what we should do, we should outline the lessons learned from doing a show like this. So that way we don't make the same mistakes twice, correct? All right, we will do that in a second, but I received a $5 tip. Thank you, by the way, Ugly Tuna Roll, for the $5 tip. We're now at 17 bucks in support. Again, guys, let's get the support rolling. Who's going to be the first person to contribute on the kick side of stuff today? Who's going to become a member? Who's going to become a sub and join the Founders Club? Or who's going to give some subs over there, right? And on the YouTube side, who's going to become a member or who's going to give some memberships to the community this morning? Let's get that support rolling again so we don't see the streak end just because I'm doing a react show today. All right? Okay. So, what lessons have been learned with me doing this react show? 90 episodes spanning almost 2 years. Number one, don't stream react content on YouTube. Seriously. It's just not worth it. When you're doing react content, the idea is to see the live reaction uninterrupted. If we have a chance that the stream is going to get suspended or shut down or have an issue, it ruins the whole experience. People don't want to sit around multiple times during a stream and have to wait 3 to 5 minutes for the stream to come back. It's incredibly frustrating. So for moving forward, if I'm going to react to anything, it's going to be streamed on Kick. All right? Just being honest. I don't see the point in streaming on YouTube when YouTube is going to shut you down every time you try to react. It's dumb as hell. So lesson learned, YouTube is not a good place to do it. Okay? That's number one. Number two, people want to know what they're going to see so they can plan if they're going to be interested in it or not. Okay? I feel like one of the biggest problems with the DSP versus the internet show is that it's literally a variety show and you don't know what you're going to see. So let's say, for example, this week you tune into the show and there's a bunch of clips about Singapore, but you don't care about Singapore. You're like, well, that was boring. So probably what's going to happen is next week you won't tune in. But the next week there just happen to be no clips about Singapore, but a bunch of clips that you were interested in. But crap, you missed it because last week was all about Singapore. You see, when you don't know what's going to be watched, you don't know if you're going to be interested. And I think what happened is a bunch of people tuned in at first to see if they would be interested. And maybe a week or two they were. But the moment that they weren't, they stopped tuning in. That was it. The viewership dwindled. I had on that show, I was getting, originally, I was getting like 500, 600 viewers a week. Then it went down to 400. Then it went down to 300. Now we don't even get 200 viewers a week for the show. People are just done with it because they don't want to sit down and watch a bunch of stuff they don't like. If you don't know what's on the show, why would you tune in? So, if I'm going to do react content moving forward, right, I need to have it set up so that you know exactly what you're going to see. That way you can tune in and know it's something you like or you have interest in rather than taking a chance on it and then you wasted your time because it's something you find boring. Correct? I think that's a good way to go about it. So that's something we've learned. Don't stream on YouTube and have a planned subject matter laid out so that people know that they're tuning into something that they like, right? Now, I will say this. I did learn that the ability to have viewer input is key. If I'm going to do React content moving forward, I do need to have my audience or supporters through memberships be able to basically help me dictate what to watch. It's too much for me to go around the internet myself and try to find clips, especially with the busy work schedule that I already have. There's no way that I could do it on my own. Having people submit clips and me review them and get them ready for the show has been great, but I basically need to make sure that that input is valid. It's not people trying to troll me, but I also have to make sure that people feel like their input is valuable. I'm absolutely never going to have a successful React show if I just pick every single topic for myself and just do it and I'm interested in it. Listen, I might get like a core viewer base who likes that, but it's going to be like a dozen people, right? Oh, well, Phil, we're going to watch what Phil likes today. No, it has to be stuff that you guys want to see me watch and react to as well. So there has to be a level of input and interactivity. That's what I'd say. What are the biggest takeaways of what we learned from doing the show? Don't stream it on YouTube because there's too many problems, right? Be sure to have big viewer input because viewer input is key to the success of the show. You know, what was I forgot what the second one was now. But yeah, basically everything that we're leaning towards here is we need to do React content. Oh, to know what we're going to do ahead of time. That's right. We need to have React content that's scheduled, okay? That's meaningful, and that isn't all the time, okay? So moving forward, doing React content, which I am going to do, but it's going to be more long form. I'm not going to stream it on YouTube. I'm going to stream it exclusively on Kick, okay? That's number one. Number two, we're going to have topics that you guys can submit videos for you to suggest for me to then go and review and pick the best ones and announce ahead of time so you know what to expect whenever you're tuning into one of my React streams. Now, oh, what's the surprise today? Is it going to be something else boring? No, you're going to know what the subject matter is. So when you're showing up for that, you're there for that, right? You're not there to just hope for the best. Okay? And exactly. Traversed said quality over quantity. Abso-freaking-lutely correct. Doing this show once a week doesn't work because the only way it could work once a week is if I have a team, a crack team of people who are getting tons of clips submitted and they're scouring through the clips for variety and so that they're not adult cut clips and they're not kid clips and that they're not content ID clips and that they're clips that people want to see and then presenting that to me. And that's what the big YouTubers have. They have people who sit there on a Discord and they sift through tons of submissions and they pick the best stories for them. I don't have that. I'm a small-time guy. I'm not Moist Critical, okay? I don't have people going through shit for me. I'm a one-man show. I have some editors and moderators who help me with stuff, but this is not their job, okay? This is just us trying to put out stuff together in like a community setting. I can't do what the big YouTubers do. And I think, sadly, back when people had the idea for me to do this kind of content, that's what they had in mind. They were looking at big YouTubers who literally have paid editors and paid people who go and do this Discord moderation and sifting of clips and shit. And then they expected like I was going to be able to do that. And I'm like, no, I'm not them. I'm a small-time guy. I got a bunch of ridiculous, mentally stunted, obsessed detractors who try to fuck with every piece of content I do. I can't do it the way that everyone else does it, you know? I wish I could. Really. I wish I could. I wish that I could do it the same way everyone else does it. I wish that I had the ability to have all of the freedoms to make content like everyone else. I literally don't. Because of the obsessed weirdos and losers out there, I can't do the content like others do. All right? So I've done the best that I could with the means that I had for about 2 years. It's not working anymore. That's why the show is retiring today. But the idea is to now bring the show back, name something different. It won't be DSP versus the internet anymore. All right? But we're going to do long-form React content instead of this short clip stuff. Because, again, that's another thing, too. when you're doing a clip show and you've got to move so fast because you basically have a requirement to watch clips, right? I have to watch all the Ultra member clips today. Then we have to get to the submissions tier and we have to watch a good amount of those, or else people who paid and didn't get their video watched, they have a gripe with me, and it's a legit gripe. Well, that format doesn't work. That works when you have only a certain amount of people submitting. It doesn't work when you have a bunch of people submitting and now they're upset, right? So basically, this long form react show is going to work like this, okay? People are going to be able to stay members of DSP Reacts. And what's going to happen is people who stay as ultra members of the channel, which probably will not be a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. Since now we're not guaranteeing that clips will be watched, I bet we're going to go from like 10 ultra members to like 3. I'm just being honest. I think like my biggest supporters will stay ultra members, and everyone else is going to be like, nah, I'll pass, and they're either going to downgrade or just drop their memberships entirely. So immediately, ooh, the revenue that I was making on DSP Reacts is going to be gone. Okay? The good news is it wasn't a lot. It was literally only like a few $100s a month. I think the biggest month I've had recently on DSP Reacts, outside of the Rich React that I obviously did with Tino's Casino, a normal month on DSP Reacts maybe makes me like $500. And that's a decent month, you know. There's months that goes up and down, but it's like $500 a month. It's like, if I lose the $500 a month to rebrand and refix the show and make it better, is that going to kill me? Probably not. Okay, especially with I'm doing so well on my other streams. I'm hitting the goals every single stream. It's not a big deal. Okay? But yeah, it's going to suck because there's people who like the content and now it's not going to be there anymore, right? So the way it's going to work, I think we're going to do is if you stay an ultra member of DSP Reacts, all right, I'm going to have a thread where you can submit topics or actual specific videos that you feel would be interesting for me to do long form React content to. Now, when I say long form React content, what I'm talking about is videos that probably are around 15 to 20 minutes long at a minimum, but could be upwards of hours long. We're talking video essays, documentaries, full-on series. That's the kind of stuff I want to cover now because I've been there, done that with the short form crap, and I don't think that it's really that meaningful anymore. Now, I want to say this. I'm not saying I'm never going to do short form reacting. In fact, someone had an interesting idea in the stream chat earlier. They said, how about this? On a day when you're going to do a long form react, turn on your stream. In this case, it would be exclusively streamed on Kick, so you don't have these issues with getting shut down. For the first 20, 25 minutes, okay, you do short form reacting to warm the crowd up. Watch a few clips, right? And then once you get, it's kind of like you go to the movies and they run the trailers and the ads first, and then they give you the main event, the big the feature presentation, right? So that's how I could do it. Or on the flip side of that, what if we have a long form react planned? We do the long form react, but then there's extra time at the end. Like maybe I had a 3-hour stream scheduled, but I finished within 2 hours. Well, then just do some clips at the end, react to some stuff randomly at the end of the show, right? So the short form reacting isn't going to disappear. It's just not going to be the featured presentation or the main event. Get it? There you go. So ultra members will be able to suggest the topics and or even specific videos that I will then sit down, review, and curate. And I think this is the biggest part that was missing from the DSP versus the internet random clip show. There was no curation. It was just, I have to watch everything people submit. Now, I'm going to curate the topics and clips that I feel are the ones that are the most important or most interesting to me, maybe ones that I have the most to add or I can learn something from and can give meaningful commentary on. And that way, you will, again, know what the topic is when I set up the stream, right? So let's say the ultra members over the course of 2-3 weeks submit 10 different topics. Now I can go through all of those, find the best ones, and I can announce, hey, everyone, in 2 weeks' time, it'll be the first big episode of the new DSP React show, and we're calling it this, and it's going to be this topic. Tune in this day, this time on Kick exclusively for the show, and I'll be recording it and clipping it and putting stuff and highlights of that show onto the DSP Reacts channel after the fact. Okay? I think that's going to work much better than what we're doing every week now. Or at least I would hope that's going to do better than what we're doing now. Because the thing is, I like reacting. Just that I don't feel like what we're doing now is working. I want to go back to more meaningful stuff that people will show up for, and I think this would work at having the people suggest it, have a big hand in controlling, you know, the topics, but at the same time, I specifically pick what we're going to talk about. I schedule it ahead of time. I tell you what it is, and then people have come and we all watch it together on Kick. It gives Kick exclusive streams, which I need on Kick. I need to get more viewership on Kick right now. I think that would help it a lot. Okay? So I think that would be cool. And by the way, the topics could be wide ranging. One week we could be doing a documentary about video games. And then in 2 or 3 weeks after that, we could do a video essay about the downfall of YouTube and how the algorithm is screwing people over. And then in another 3 weeks, we could do something about a holiday, a Christmas special, you know? Like we could do all kinds of special stuff. And I think that's how it should work, is that it's always going to be a little bit of variety. And like someone said, quality over quantity. Instead of me worrying about, oh, I got to do the show every week. I take my time. I space it out. I plan it appropriately. I tell you ahead of time. You get excited. We get pumped. We talk about it in the other content, and then we actually do it and have a good time, right? So you might say, all right, so this makes sense. So your DSP versus the internet show ends today. You're going to start working on the long-form React show, and Ultra members are going to submit the topics for that show. Gotcha. What about submissions to your members, who are the people who have submitted the clips and went into the random playlist? Well, funny you said that. As you all know, this coming Thursday, on the late stream, exclusively on Kick, it is the premiere of my brand new show, DS Politics. And so, with a show like DS Politics about to premiere, what we're going to need is some input on the kind of topics that I want to cover on that show. Now, I've already told you I'm planning on clipping highlights from the DS Politics show and uploading them to the DSP Reacts channel on YouTube. I'm not going to broadcast there. I'm going to broadcast exclusively on Kick, but we're going to have the clips go on DSP Reacts. So there's going to already be a tie of the Politics show to the React channel, right? If you become a member, a submissions tier member of DSP React, in a thread, you will be able... Is the spelling mistake on purpose? This how you do govern? What? Let me see. The is how... Oh, the is how you do govern. I was saying, I didn't even notice that. I guess we got to fix that. The is how you do govern. I think it was supposed to say, this is how you do govern, not the is how you do govern. I think they screwed it up. So I'm going to have someone do a typo fix on that. Anyway. So, in the submissions tier, hold on a second. I'm sorry, I just love playing that. Anyway.
I got the drip going. 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 I got the drip going.
It's like a faucet that's dripping. You can't make it stop.
So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean, these dumb kids. This is what it is, it's dumb kids.